We begin with an experience. It's 3 o'clock in the morning, and I can't seem to stop scrolling. It's been a few hours now, and the light of this small black brick has been a close companion. Time itself has slipped away, and whatever reason I had originally for picking up my phone is now long gone. Video after video, post after post, image after image, it all slips past the horizon of my experience, like a sun rising and setting but never truly shining, and my eyes burn, but they remain glued. I do not even find anything I'm looking at interesting anymore. I'm just distracting my distraction with distraction. It's a perpetual loop of boredom. And then, by chance, as if the universe had the same morose, ironic humor of the internet, the algorithm recommends to me, out of the corner of my eye, a video promoting digital detox. My mind-melting session then ends with another 2 hours of watching videos about how I should stop watching videos before my natural need for sleep robs me of the subtle poison I've been consuming. This is a video about a phenomena that is extraordinarily difficult to describe and is simultaneously, ironically, self-defeating because the medium that it's presented on only perpetuates the illness. So if things feel elusive and nebulous, it is only because the object of our study is as such. This, then, is a video that diagnoses a problem, but treats of a sickness that only gets worse when one tries to find a cure. In fact, we are dealing with something where the sickness and the cure have actually melded into one. Today we talk about technology and the attempt at quitting technology, which then is synthesized into a perpetual loop. We will take influence for our investigation from the philosophers Jacques Derrida, John Baudrillard, Martin Heidegger, and even a little bit of Hegel. And we will be looking into this perpetual loop while also contributing to it. In short, we are going to talk about why we are all stuck. And the reason that we are stuck is that we keep making videos about being stuck. Man's relationship with technology has always been a delicate thing, and his romantic nostalgia for a time prior to the innovation of any current technology of his time is not a new thought. We can imagine the great outrage and the fear of some to the development of things we take very much for granted now, such as the radio or television. Essays were written, spokespersons were employed, emotional appeals were made. But eventually, everyone moved on to the next screen, only for the storm to be kicked up again. There is never any shortage of attempts to restrain the hurdle to a future dominated by technology. Our temptation of escape to the life of a Luddite hermit is always a possibility. Furthermore, especially now, there is always a copycat discourse that arises when a new technology is introduced. Some talking head tells us that this is a step too far and that all previous innovation was morally acceptable, but it's only this new thing that we are now engaged in that somehow has crossed the line into the inhuman. Everything then has been hurtling towards this new, unique epoch. But for the first time, or ironically, a repeated first time, the age we live in now, the internet age, offers us a new manifestation that is particularly unique to the medium. And it was this manifestation that I hoped to show in my example of doom scrolling. we can also look in other directions. In particular, two very old internet memes. Who can forget the back to monkey meme? Or perhaps you have found yourself staring at this curious screenshot, which tells us about a game that can only be won by not playing at all. What is being portrayed in these memes? A nostalgia for a pre-technological age of man, and a solution to a pointless loop by simply not engaging. These are funny sentiments, but the humor is not within the meme, but the fact that this message is delivered via meme. Imagine a poet who writes poetry about how evil and deceiving poetry is, an artist who paints pictures depicting the pointlessness of painting, or a filmmaker making anti-movies all about meta-discourse of movie making. The unique aspect of our doom-scrolling sessions and our memes, then, is that eventually the algorithm will recommend us a stream of self-hating poets, artists, and filmmakers. They call out to us in such enticing voices. Are you tired of using your phone too much? Just download this new minimalism app that costs only $5. Here are 7 ways to socialize with others. But first, a word from our sponsors. Technology and the internet is a giant waste of time, and that's why I wrote this 30-minute video essay. All of these instances are the boils on the skin that show us the sickness, while simultaneously are the supposed ointment that we are to treat the boils with. What is one to do then, if sounding the alarm just continues to spread the fire? Are any of these accounts, Patreons, YouTube channels, authentic at all? Even if their intentions are good, is the medium that powerful that the moment any sort of divisive attempt at breaking from it occurs, that attempt is instantly made a part of the medium itself, and the loop continues to perpetuate? It is continuing to engage with all these different channels and voices that makes one feel as if they are dealing with some type of specter instead of actually a real, tangible person behind the screen on the other side of planet Earth. And it is this notion of this almost ghostly aspect of the internet that we can tie to Derrida's notion of hauntology, the persistence of the past within the present. It is as if our advancements in technology are always haunted by previous iterations that continually form a recursive loop, and it is merely old forms, nothing new under the sun, that constantly presents itself under the guise of novelty. And this novelty is not just new things to look at, new accounts to follow. The novelty itself is, in fact, even the attempt to stop finding novelty. And one circles within themselves over and over and over again. What is there to do but build on the code that came before, making escape impossible? So enticing is this presentation of the new within the medium that the internet itself has begun to form culture. And a brilliant example of this would be the aesthetics and movement of Vaporwave, a genre of music and visual art that nostalgically reconstructs and distorts the remnants of our past digital and consumer cultures. It's Vaporwave that, in fact, exemplifies this hauntology, this haunting of ghosts, the ghosts of old advertisements and early internet aesthetics. But they are now transformed into these eerie, looped fragments of a future that has never been arrived, and yet we have a nostalgia for a past that never existed. The genre then embodies the sense of progress that is never truly moving forward, but is instead stuck in a recursive simulation. Much like how many digital platforms endlessly recycle old content under the guise of something new, Vaporwave is a dreamy, glitch-ridden detachment. But this detachment, again ironically, can only detach itself so far. What once was a little niche part of the internet, various playlists of Vaporwave, is now very much findable on Spotify. Has the protest become the message then? Has even this, which was supposed to show the loop, become part of the loop? To add to our problem even further, the language we use has been brought under the influence of the medium. It is not atypical that internet lingo or internet buzzwords creep in to our conversations that are face to face. It is widely argued that our ability to interact with reality itself is heavily mediated by language. And if our language is formed out of this perpetual loop that is sustained within the internet, then our view of reality itself may very well become distorted. If our language can become this distorted, if our understanding of reality can possibly become this corrupted, then the distortions can expand even into the realm of philosophy. I have found more and more that the more videos I watch on what I first thought were philosophical topics are in fact really just media analysis or cultural analysis disguised under the topic of philosophy. If philosophy does not think it possible to speak about reality or being anymore, if even the modern turn of speaking about knowledge becomes impossible, and the postmodern turn of talking about language becomes impossible, what other object does philosophy have than movies and internet memes? This is a very disturbing thing, and it's picked up even in the philosophy of Martin Heidegger. In his essay on Hauntology and metaphysics of all things, he makes passing remark to the effect that technology can have on metaphysical discourse. In common man's terms, technology itself can warp our understanding of reality, the ground on which everything else may be understood by. And while Heidegger thinks that Western languages are to blame for certain problems in the discipline of metaphysics, I pose to you, the viewer, that is in fact actually the technology that influences the language, that influences the metaphysics. Whereas previously it may have been the metaphysics that influences the language, which then in turn influences the technology. Everything has been turned on its head, and also turned, and turned over and over and over again. And this is the loop that we cannot escape. So much, in fact, that something that could bring it into light, the power of philosophy itself, may also be brought into the loop. Moving away from all of this very interesting, I'm sure, inside baseball of philosophy, I think we find ourselves at a crossroads. We have the problem of which there is no real good solution, and any proposed solution is just brought back into the problem. Up until this point of the video, though, I have spoken of the internet and of technology as this force, if you will, that's somehow beyond human control. But I'd like to end by proposing something unique. Well, not unique, because as has already been established, there isn't anything unique, or anything that is unique immediately becomes the norm. But still, we may attempt to speak of something a little outside of the system. It goes like this. Very, very, very frequently, people refer to smartphones as black mirrors. This is a curious little reference, and I think on base level, it's simply just that the glass that you are staring at when you turn off the shiny casino-esque lights is just black. But stare at that phone screen a little longer, and assuming you have okay lighting in your room, you'll be able to see your reflection. We can talk about algorithms and AI and any number of things that occur on the internet. But all of these castles of technology and idealism, they're still built by people. There still is a person, however far removed they are. And this means that all the contradictions, all the loops that seemingly are inescapable, are not isolated in the internet. They're isolated in you. And so, in an ironic twist, the very thing that we thought was the problem, the sickness we needed to address, has turned out to just be a diagnosis, has turned out to be the doctor showing us what is in fact wrong with us. What is this sickness that we have within ourselves, that is deep within our souls, that brings about paradox and loops itself over and over and over again? This is the sickness of despair. And this despair has only one true way out. Want to perpetuate the problem of technological loops further distorting our understanding of reality? Like and subscribe.